Hello, everybody. So glad to see you. And I actually have a pretty good crowd today. So I think this is a topic that really matters to you. And I know it matters to you because we have a lot of inquiries coming in and the people asking questions related to ERC. But today's focus, I'm just going to warm up the concept of ERC with you, kind of give you a guidelines of what you're looking for. But I want to talk about the scams, the do it wrong people for the ERC, so you are prepared. Sometimes our folks, we trust people and you trust the big firms that are out there, and I'll show you the firm website. It looked very legit. It looks right, but they were under criminal investigation by IRS because of all these claims that they did. Of course, possible, and it was accused wrongfully, and they are just amazing firms and, should not be accused. Like some people say that President Trump should not be subject to Jan 6 investigation. So there's opinions out there, but the fact is they're being looked into. So at least says that maybe their area for improvement. Am I right? So let's get going with our today's talk. So this is a website of a company who claim to be the expert for tax credits. So they do a lot of ERC credit, like you see right here. And this is the particular company that I mentioned now is under criminal investigation. So what I want to show you is that you see how this thing, it is really popping to your mind. When you look at the website, you go, wow, 512,000, I can get that money back from IRS. I'm really, really excited. I want to do this. So you learn more and you get engaged with them. And now your criminal investigation, which means that the clients who work with them will also be looked at, maybe not being investigated, but being looked at. And this news, I actually got it from accounting today, you can see. And this is a public news, it's nothing, I didn't create it. It is just something that I want to bring to your attention. That's why today we talk about scams. And I just want to give you the variety of them so that you can literally recognize them when they are knocking your door, right? So let's go with our presentation from here. All right, be aware of ERC scam. And myself, my name is Ying, and I am the managing partner for Community CPA. I also founded the firm of Community CPA back in 1998. And currently I'm serving on the National Taxpayer Advocacy Panel. This is a federal advisory committee to IRS. So what we do is we look at right now this year I'm in the notice committee. So I look at the notice, give my 2 cents of what I think the taxpayer is thinking, whether this paragraph is right for the taxpayer or not. So stuff like that. And it is a voluntary position, but it definitely is part of, right, to really bring clarity to the business entrepreneur community. And when you work with IRS and you know exactly what needs to be done and you know why they are talking to you. And when we want to put a no responsibility disclaimer, so you take responsibility of what you hear and what you need to do. All right, so ERC credit. So just to know that the spirit of ERC credit is designed to encourage employers, so business owner, you and me, okay, to keep employees on payroll through a refundable tax credit. This refundable tax credit could be as big as the $500,000 these people were talking about on the website. Can be big, right? And which is to pay for the employee during this uncertain pandemic time. The originally was introduced as a CARES Act, but since then, because this claim can go on for 5 years, so you have 5 years to make that claim, right? So let's say if it is the first quarter of 2021, 2020, you are making that claim, then your 5 years is counting from the Q1 2020 to 5 years. So that's when you can claim. So your latest time to 2020 ERC credit, it is in 2025, in 2024, the fourth quarter. Does that make sense? So make sure, because of that, so there are times you can do it. So since the inception, the rules around eligibility has been updated, clarified, and because of all these misunderstandings. Now, the next 3 slides is really mechanical because I'm just kind of wanting to tell you what they are. And if, I'm not going to read everything, but I just want you to, if you want to know a precise summary of what ERC is for you, and take a picture of this slide. But look at the example, 10,000 qualified wages paid 50%, okay? The qualified wages you paid to your employee, you times 50%, that 5,000 is 2020 annual refund that you would get if you claimed ERC credit. Of course, you need to qualify, but if you qualify, mechanically, it's very easy to calculate. You just look at, you got 5,000. But in 2021, the rule is not the same. It's 10,000 qualified wages paid, 70% you can get back quarterly. So if you pay someone 10,000 a quarter, then you will get 7,000 back for every quarter that you're eligible. So that is a pretty significant dollars. Am I right? So that is one of the reasons why it is being, people who are trying to get you to claim that, what they do is they don't care about your qualification or eligibility. They just go in saying that how much you pay for your employee. You say, well, I pay this employee 30,000 a year in 2020, but I pay this employee 10,000 a quarter for this employee. As soon as you say that, they go, oh, wow, you can get $5,000 back in 2020. You can get, the quarters, every quarter, you can get $7,000 back for this employee. And it's all free money. You don't have to pay anything. All we need to do is just to do a 941 amendment and you're done. So of course, that sounds so easy. That sounds like math, right? It's just calculating. You do a mathematics, so for 50%, 70%, you're done. But not that easy. You need to make yourself, you need to know that you must be eligible. Remember, the spirit of ERC is to have an employee, keeping employee during the uncertain time. And the claim, it's going from the first quarter of 2020 all the way to the third quarter of 2021, right? So that period, and that's what they're trying to help you. And they do have eligibility, and the government is continue to retune the wording to make it more clear. So you want to make sure that before you submit your 941X, you really need to get eligibility down scientifically, down solidly. There's not, maybe I won't be audited, so I'm just going to claim anyway. There's, I can't tell you how much you'll be charged, but to be a civil case, a criminal demeanor case is very possible. So you want to make sure that you got your eligibility all covered. So here I wrote down the general eligibility. So you see that the first one is business operations fully or partially suspended by a COVID-related government order. I put in the government order because in the early documentation from the CARES Act, it was just says order, related order. It didn't say government order, but later on it's getting more cleared. It has to be government issued order, whether it is what government, right? The city, county, state, and the federal, and you need to give a government order. And then of course, the first in 2020 was 50% on the sales side. 2021, it is 20 below the comparison on the sales side. But then again, it is related government order that's stopping you from to have your business running normal. So for the, of course, later on, and they also had this quarter 3, quarter 4 of 2021, you could be the recovery startup business to take the credit. So that recovery startup business now, which is you began the business after February the 15th in 2020, has no more than million in average annual gross receipt, and is not eligible for the credit because the business was not shut down per COVID-19 lockdown order and did not have significant reduction in gross sales compared to the same quarter. So if you qualify all of that, it's not otherwise, okay? And if you qualify for that, you can claim up to 50,000 on ERC credit. So now let's just look at what type of scam is out there. Many businesses are still struggling with staying open even now. And COVID is sort of in the rear mirror. And, I say that a couple of months ago, now, even in our own firm, we got people getting COVID left and right. So I'm not sure it is really gone, but it's not deadly, right? It's not life-threatening in most of the cases. So their business is still struggling. So there are people still looking for funds to run the business. So this comes in very tempting because, I can easily get $200,000. That's a lot of money. I really felt like I should qualify. Why am I not? Let's go around, figure out who can get me qualified. Okay. So of course, there are, for business owners, a short side vision and wanting to do that. I'll always tell my business owner that the short is so not worth it. It is no different from getting on drugs, getting high. And then, the high is over, you're looking at consequences. So it's the same thing. If you can get $200,000 ERC credit because you have a large payroll, but your eligibility is not there, and you're getting this money, very likely the government will come back knowing that your industry normally do not have those kind of things. They will come back to do compliance review on you. Then you return the money back. Civil penalty is 50% of what you owe. So if you return $200,000 back, if civil penalty is applied, then it's another $200,000. Is it worth it? And what are you going to say to the auditor that why you went on to claim? And are you going to blame it to Alliance, that kind of company? Or are you going to say that, I just didn't know the rule, I just did it? Do not know is not excuse. That's just something I continue to tell my client. I have a lot of clients who are super smart entrepreneurs speaking English as a second language. So they don't really read a lot of documents and they kind of just speaking English and to get by, but they're smart business people. And sometimes I see people using language as a reason for not doing certain things. It's not always successful, folks. How many more times we can use language as a reason we don't understand what the government says, so we're doing it wrong? It just doesn't fly, okay? So I just want to say that you, even though you are struggling, there's other ways to do it. And looking at ERC, thinking that maybe I just ignore the eligibility, I just get it, bad idea. And there are also increasing number of to file ERC refund in exchange of a percentage of the take. So what that means is they call you. Hey, did you file ERC? You go, I didn't even know what is ERC. Oh, ERC just means that look at your payroll. If you paid someone $30,000 a year in 2020, you will get a $5,000 employee. How many people you have paid more than that much amount? So you have 20 people, 5,000 times 20, that makes you excited, right? And then they say, well, I'm just gonna do the ERC claim for you and I'm going to charge you 25%. And you were like, oh yeah, I don't even have to pay. I'm just gonna pay you when I got the money. Oh yes, so the deal is there. So that is a scam. And in proper professional service, and a percentage of the take is not according to the AICPA's professional conduct. It is not correct to do it that way. I want you to know that is not correct. But those companies most likely are not CPA firm either. They are some sort of firm like Alliance Group You don't know what they are. They're consulting firms, and the consulting firms don't have the backbone of professional conduct to guide their performance. So if you work with a law firm, you work with CPA firm, you have that professional liability insurance that will help you. And their professional conduct, their license is at the stake if they're not doing it right. So just be really thoughtful when people like that approach you. And because of the lack of IRS guidance on this subject, these companies taking very liberal approach, interpretation of rules. And I will, give you a couple of examples. And be aware, and those companies would have you sign a paper. The paper says that we did not do eligibility study. You are so responsible to make sure that you are eligible. We are just doing the refund calculation for you. So here is the money we're going to charge you. So they also, on the contract, they're also not going to say that it's 25%, but what they know is they already knew how much they're going to apply for the refund. They already calculate that amount. So, but in reality, when they talk to you, they already told you that's a percentage, right? So you really want to make sure that what you sign makes sense, because that's under penalties of perjury. And then you don't want to be penalized by perjury. And yes, when we do a wrong calculation, there's accuracy charges on the tax dues. If we didn't calculate it correctly, you can be charged with accuracy penalty, but not perjury or civil penalty. Those are 50% of the amount you owe. And now let's just give a couple examples of exaggerating your claims. Okay, these third-party consulting firm perform for your business with an aggressive approach. Okay, and having you taking on the assumption and the result of the improper claim. I kind of give you a couple examples right here. And for example, shutdown or partial shutdown is recommended by CDC and OSHA. That does not equal to a government order for purpose of claiming ERC credit. And if your state never was shut down, and like Iowa, okay, our governor just did not order shutdown for the business. So if you never had a shutdown, it's not a qualifier. You maybe have a lower sales in 2020, but shutdown is not a thing, even though CDC recommended and every day on internet that everybody should shut down, right? So make sure that shutdown and the partial shutdown, you better got a government printout to show that in your area there was government order. Number two, another position is difficult to support is the supply chain disruptions. There's a lot of manufacturers like this Alliance Group. I am so sure that when people look at this supply chain, it's so easy to know that we shut down our operation because I don't even get the materials. For example, we have construction company. They could not do construction during the COVID time because the supply is not there. They just kind of on hold. They still pay the payroll, but do you consider that is a supply chain disruptions by ERC definition? So here, you have to be able to justify that delay or that disruptions tied to that limits group meetings due to COVID-19. So for example, if you are an event organizer, COVID do not allow more than how many people get together. So you shut down and you have an employee to pay. That easily is qualifying. Your supply chain is definitely disrupted. But if you say that, well, there's some parts from China didn't come in, I couldn't really work it. And that is not disruptions that included in this definition. That is your trade. That is what President Trump did, adding a lot of taxes on it so the Chinese don't send anything over. Okay, that is a trade policy, is not a COVID policy. Then The credit meals, folks, we call them credit meals because they're like puppy meals. They're just like, okay, you qualify for everything, just come to us, we get you more money, right? They do not want to know they do not want to know a lot about you. When you work with them, and typically they would not ask you about who is the employee you have. And is this your wife? Is this your brother? And is this your children? So because those people do not qualify, we have businesses that got shut down, but the only employee is the husband and wife. And in that case, they don't qualify for ERC. So when you give your files to a third party and you don't tell them you are related, they just gonna assume that they are all proper employees, then you are the one gonna pay back the taxes later, right? So make sure you really watch what you were filing. Eligibility is a big deal. We have people come into our firm and already got everything done. Then they come to us because they themselves felt they don't qualify. And we will tell them what we think, because qualification is so key. And do not get blindsided with the big dollar amount that could come to your bank for free. The IRS can print money. Even if they don't have money, they're still going to give you the refund. But that doesn't mean it is yours. And it is going to come back to bite you and take another leg from you. You got 200, they want $400,000 back, right? So just make sure, and you take that seriously. And that's the Alliant group, okay? So this one, and it just happened May 20th, not too long ago. We're still dealing with the investigation. And now, you know, the firm's tax credit claim position has been challenged by IRS. So what does that mean? IRS also has a machine. They can sort out everyone you submitted. And they can investigate your tax preparer and knows who filed what taxes with what tax preparer. If that tax preparer is having a record and being criminally investigated, you think you're gonna go away from being investigated? Maybe not every of the client get investigated, but your file will be looked at for sure. And if there's a lot of things going on, yeah, you may be investigated. So they are getting challenged by IRS, so leading to the fact that a lot of their clients didn't get the credit. So when they don't get the credit, they're asking for feedback. So it is a lot of turmoils going inside of the firm. And I showed you the website. It looks very legit, a well done website. And but look, this is what people get into. So you can't just trust whoever is out there. That's why I told you, and to take responsibility of your own. You can't just trust internet and listen to someone talks and it goes, oh yeah, that person has to be right. No, I don't even want you to think that, you know, you listen to our webinar, then everything you need to do is you need to come to us. I want you to make that judgment, not us, right? What happened if you get caught? What happened if your claim already done and you already signed the letter saying that, yeah, I do my own eligibility and I got this money. And what if you know you are wrong? And, you know, my recommendation to you is if you are wrong, and the best route is to get the money back to the government. And we are not in the environment where compliance review is not going to come. IRS already started looking into the businesses who are claiming the credit ERC. That just seems to be too unlikely. Not that kind of business. They should not have that. They're a grocery store. Why do they claim ERC? They're essential business. They were open. And you say, well, my business sales went down. Then you have to prove that. Not only you need to prove to ERC, you also need to prove in your tax return. So there's a lot more things you need to do, right? The IRS does a 5-year statute of limitation on these kind of claims. So which means that within the 5 years, you always have the possibility to be investigated, to be reviewed. So it is open for audit for 5 years. And the IRS isn't auditing claims now, but for sure in the future, could in the future. And we do not yet know the penalty and the consequences of wrongdoing in ERC cases, but these are the two, we believe, civil penalty, criminal tax fraud is all possible. The Alliance Group is already charged with criminal tax fraud, right? They're doing investigation. And if this is a large amount you're claiming, yes, and it will be looked at. And you want to get your eligibility document really, really organized right now. If you didn't do that, do it now. Don't wait until IRS come to you. Maybe that's 5 years later, then you don't even remember what happened before. So just get that ready now. And we are in such a high inflation. And, the Republicans already declared a recession, and they call that Biden recession. And so, the country is not doing as good as we want to right now. And audit is not avoidable. And that you small business, especially the successful small business, are the target of being audited so you can pay. And they, IRS get about 300 billion back from tax audit nearly every year. So this ERC, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of fraud in here, and they will investigate. The other federal grants like PPP, RF, they goes the same way. And the government not gonna just let you slide and without looking at it. Of course, there will be lucky people who did it wrong, but IRS also did not come to it. And there's always people like that, but you want to make sure that you don't get yourself to the place where you can sleep, right? The red flag for IRS right here, we listed a couple. And if you got a PPP payment and you also got ERC payment, and you want to make sure these are not duplicating, that's a red flag, because IRS will look at the people who has both, right? And inflated wages, a number of employees to increase the amount of credit. So, there are people who are even doing amendment to 2020, 2021 to inflate up their taxes. I'm not saying that all of the amendments were wrong, but if you were wanting to have tax credit, so you do this kind of work, that would not be a good idea, because that amendment is not simple. When you do amendment like that, your income taxes would change, and your Social Security report would change, your W-2, W-3 change. So there's a whole slew of changes you have to implement. It's not as easy as you just give a number, okay? And if you deposit checks into your bank and, but your bank account, your business bank account has no activities for business and payroll activities, that's a red flag. So really, when you are dealing with the bank, that information is open to IRS. It's not up to you. You don't have privacy on the bank, folks. I hope you know that. IRS can go to your bank and pull out all your transactions as they like, and that there is no limit. So if your bank activity is looking odd, yes, you will be red flagged by IRS. And, or if you use this money you got, pay personal expense, then of course you'll be subject to the investigation. So I just want to conclude our talk today by saying that, and if you are approached by the credit meals people offering some sort of, some sort of promise that without going into deep with your business, and you want to think about it, it can be too good to be true. And I just really do not want to see the successful small businesses like you fall into this kind of trap. It's not needed. And you don't need that. And you have a good business to run. Don't let that to become a terminator for your business. All right. And have a great afternoon, folks. And if you have questions for me, and email Catherine@communitycpa.com. And I hope you learned one or two from me today. And I'll see you on Saturday for another important talk, Talk to you. Bye.